It's 11 p.m. and these are the headlines. The President of the Republic received the Al-Aqsa Mosque Imam Sheikh Akrima Sabri, who is on a visit to Algeria. The President of the Republic also received the credentials of 5 new ambassadors to Algeria from the Russian Federation, the Equatorial Guinea, the Republic of Moldova, the Kingdom of Cambodia, and the Republic of Rwanda. We'll also review the interview given by the President of the Republic to the French newspaper L'Opinion. Several questions were evoked, notably those related to the Algerian-French relations. And a phone call between the Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, the Chief of Staff of the PNA, and the Chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff reaffirmed their mutual commitment to strengthening Algerian-American military cooperation. Welcome back, everyone. President Abdelmajid Tebboune received today Sheikh Akrima Sabri, the Imam of Al-Aqsa Mosque, who is visiting Algeria. The meeting took place at the Presidential Palace in the presence of the Principal Private Secretary to the President of the Republic, Boualam Boualam, the Rector of Jama' al-Jazair, Mohammed Ma'moun al-Qasim al-Husseini, the President's Advisor on Religious Affairs, Zawiya and Quranic Schools, Mohammed Hassouni, and the President of the High Islamic Council, Sheikh Mabrouk Zid al-Khair. The Imam of Al-Aqsa Mosque presented President Abdelmajid Tebboune with a symbolic gift, a fragment of stone from the Dome of the Rock, honoring his steadfast support for the Palestinian cause. The guest of Algeria, the Imam of Al-Aqsa Mosque, and following his meeting with the President, confirmed that the meeting was sincere, mirroring Algeria's genuine solidarity with Palestine. He praised Algeria's unwavering support for the Palestinian cause, reaffirming its long-standing stance since 1948. He also commended Algeria's efforts within the UN Security Council to amplify the Palestinian voice. Let's have a listen to him.
Rahim. كان هذا اللقاء هو أول لقاء مع سيادة الرئيس عبد المجيد تبون.
This meeting was the first one with President Abdelmajid Tebboune. It was in fact a brotherly, fraternal and honest meeting, as is the honesty of Algeria with Palestine. We've transmitted to the President the position of the Palestinian people who loves Algeria as Algeria loves Palestine. The President of the Republic expressed his readiness to meet our demands that are very important for Al-Quds and the blessed Aqsa. Our visit is imprinted with the history of Palestine and that of Algeria with Palestine, as the Zawiya of Boumediene is a telling evidence of the solidarity ties binding Algeria to Palestine. Algeria has always had a firm position towards the Palestinian cause, an unwavering position that has never changed since 1948 until this day, an honest position that was never affected by foreign interference. We also thank Algeria for its position at the level of the Security Council, and as a member of the Council, Algeria made the Palestinian cause its priority in this international forum. May God bless Algeria and its president and preserve its security and stability.
في الجزائر وفي رئيسها وأبد الله في عمره وأنعم على هذه البلاد بالأمن والأمان والطمأنينة والسلام.
Today, always, President Abdelmajid Tebboune received the letters of credence from 5 new ambassadors to Algeria. The President received the letters of credence from the ambassador of the Russian Federation, Alexei Solomatin.
سعادة السفير أليكسي سولوماتين سفير روسيا الاتحادية.
السيد الرئيس، أتشرف بتسليمكم أوراق الاعتماد التي يعينني فخامة رئيس روسيا الاتحادية فلاديمير بوتين بصفة سفيرا فوق العادة ومفوضا لروسيا الاتحادية لدى الجمهورية الجزائرية الديمقراطية الشعبية.
The Russian ambassador asserted that Algeria is a friendly country to Russia, emphasizing his country's commitment to enhancing bilateral cooperation across various sectors.
I've presented my credentials to the President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, Abdelmajid Tebboune. Algeria is a friendly country for Russia. I will do my best during my mandate here in Algeria to reinforce and profound the bilateral relations in different sectors.
And the President of the Republic has also received the letters of credence from the Ambassador of the Equatorial Guinea, Gertrudis Nsong Nsuga.
سعادة السفيرة خرطرودس نساندون سوغا سفيرة جمهورية غينيا الاستوائية.
Monsieur le Président, j'ai l'honneur de vous remettre le lettre de créance par laquelle Son Excellent Obiangema Mbazor m'accrédite en tant qu'ambassadeur extraordinaire et plénipotentiaire de la République de Guinée équatoriale auprès de la République algérienne, démocratique et populaire.
The new ambassador of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea confirmed the commitment to strengthening bilateral cooperation to serve shared interests, and in particular within the framework of South-South cooperation. Let's have a listen to her.
Doy muchísimas gracias por haberme dejado esta oportunidad.
Thank you for granting me this opportunity to express my joy and pride on the occasion of this special day for diplomatic relations that unite our two countries. I had the honor today to present my credentials to the President of the Algerian Republic. I would like to reaffirm on this occasion the excellent ties that binds our two countries. Equatorial Guinea has always worked and will continue to do so as to reinforce bilateral cooperation for the benefit of our two countries and our two peoples, notably within the framework of South-South cooperation.
Muchísimas gracias.
The President received the credentials of Eugenio Revenco, the Ambassador of the Republic of Moldova to Algeria.
سعادة السفير أجان ريفينكو سفير جمهورية مولدافيا.
Monsieur le Président, j'ai l'honneur de vous présenter les lettres de créance de la part de Son Excellence, la Présidente de la République de Moldova, qui m'accrédite en tant qu'ambassadeur extraordinaire et plénipotentiaire de mon pays auprès de la République algérienne démocratique et populaire. Merci. Bonjour. Bienvenue. Merci beaucoup. Monsieur le ministre.
The ambassador affirmed that bilateral relations are founded on respect and dialogue.
Je suis très honoré d'avoir
I'm very honored to have presented my credentials as ambassador to the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. I had a very warm meeting with the President Abdelmajid Tebboune, during which we discussed bilateral relations between Moldova and Algeria. Our countries maintain friendly relations based on the principles of mutual respect and dialogue. Both countries share a commitment to promote peace, security and sustainable development. The objective of Moldovan foreign policy is to join the European Union. This is the policy of European integration to maintain peace and the return of peace in our region. But we also discussed strengthening bilateral relations with foreign partners, regions of the world, and particularly with Africa, and precisely Algeria. Diplomatic relations between our countries were established 30 years ago, and bilateral cooperation still have great potential to be developed. We are open to promoting political dialogue between our two countries and strengthening cooperation. During my mandate as ambassador of the Republic of Moldova to Algeria, I aim to foster Moldovan-Algerian ties, increase the bilateral level and contacts in political, economic, commercial, energy, industrial, health, pharmaceutical and academic matters in particular. Therefore, I take this opportunity to mention that the Republic of Moldova wishes to continue and expand its relations with Algeria in a spirit of partnership that benefits both countries. Thank you very much for your attention.
partenariat pour les deux pays.
The President of the Republic has also received the letters of credence from Ambassador of the Kingdom of Cambodia, Ok Sarun.
سعادة السفير أوك سارون سفير مملكة كمبوديا.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you the letter of credence by His Majesty ព្រះបាទនរោត្តមព្រះបរមនាថនរោត្តមសីហមុនី appointed me as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Kingdom of Cambodia to the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria.
The Cambodian ambassador affirmed the continuation of efforts to strengthen bilateral cooperation. Let's take a listen.
Thank you. I am Ok Sarun, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Kingdom of Cambodia to the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. I'm very, very excited and appreciate for the Algerian government that allow me to present my credential today. And from 2 days, I would like to share some experience. Algeria is a beautiful country and develop all fields. I saw few days while I stay here. And then during my tenders, I promise to build strong relationship and best cooperation to the both country with the mutual benefit to our people and nation. Only cooperation, Cambodia is always support Algeria in for the bilateral and multilateral international sector. We are support together. Last one, I would like to wish the government of Algeria to be great success and all the people of Algeria with the happiness and prosperities. Amen.
The head of state has also received the letters of credence from the ambassador of the Republic of Rwanda, Dan Munyuza.
سعادة السفير دان مونيوزا سفير جمهورية رواندا.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I'm happy to present you the letter of credence from His Excellency President Paul Kagame to Your Excellency appointing me as the ambassador of Rwanda to the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria.
And the Rwandan ambassador emphasized that the relations between Algiers and Kigali are fraternal and stressed the importance of continuing efforts to deepen exchanges between the two countries in all fields.
I'm happy to have presented my letter of credence to represent my country in your great country today afternoon to His Excellency the President. It's my humble wish to continue strengthening friendly bilateral relations between my country, Rwanda, and the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. Rwandans and Algerians are good friends. We share the same history, and there is a lot we can learn from each other and support each other. Our brothers and sisters, Algerians, are invited to travel to Rwanda. There is no required visa. Visa is always got on arrival in Rwanda, and we are ready to support that strong relationship moving forward. Thank you very much.
The presentation of credentials of the 5 new ambassadors took place in the presence of the Principal Private Secretary to the President of the Republic, Boualam Boualam, and the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf. In an interview with the French newspaper L'Opinion, President Abdelmajid Tebboune affirmed that the climate between Algeria and France has become detrimental. Noting that Algerian-French relations are at a critical juncture, he emphasized the need to address memory-related issues. On international matters, the President reiterated Algeria's commitment to its principles of non-alignment and non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries, underscoring that Algeria, as a unified nation, rejects double standards in global policies. Rania Al-Bahri.
In an interview with L'Opinion, the President of the Republic delivered clear and strong messages. He stated that the climate between Algeria and France had become toxic and that Algeria was wasting its time with Macron, describing the tensions as no longer simple diplomatic fluctuations. The President criticized France for attempting to expel an Algerian influencer, calling it a political cost against Algeria. He also pointed out that Paris was pursuing Algerian activists on social media while granting protection to criminals. The President didn't directly respond to French politicians who claimed that Algeria was isolated, instead calling their statement laughable. Regarding the Sansal case, the President stated that it was a problem for those who created it, adding that the person in question was receiving medical care and was in contact with his family. On the issue of colonial memory, the President emphasized that Algeria wouldn't accept attempts to erase colonial crimes. He demanded that France seriously address the issue of nuclear site contamination, considering it a moral and political commitment. He reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to the principles of non-alignment and non-interference in the internal affairs of states. The President also highlighted that Algeria maintains excellent relations with the Mediterranean countries, as well as with countries in the fields of investment and trade. Adding that Algeria, considered a stabilizing force in Africa, plays a key role in resolving conflicts in the region. On relations with the United States, the President stated that Algeria had always maintained good relations with Washington, noting that the U.S. was the first country to bring Algeria's cause to the United Nations during the National Liberation War. The President reminded that the U.S. city is named after national hero Emir Abdel Qadir in honor of his struggle. He also noted that the major projects in Algeria, particularly in the hydrocarbon sector, have been carried out in cooperation with the U.S. Regarding Syria, the President recalled that Algeria faced objections when it worked for Syria's return to the Arab League in 2022. He stressed that Algeria has always rejected the massacres against the Syrian people and has firmly supported political dialogue as a solution to the crisis. On the Ukraine crisis, the President reaffirmed Algeria's rejection of double standards in international politics. He questioned why Russia's intervention had been condemned, while the occupation of Golan and Western Sahara remained unaddressed. He revealed that Algeria had attempted mediation between Ukraine and Russia, but that Kiev hadn't responded. The President also discussed Algeria's relations with Russia and China, as well as the situation in the Sahel. He stated that Algeria rejects any double standard in international relations and clarified that Algeria doesn't support any terrorist groups in Mali, but seeks to establish peace. He added that Algeria refused the presence of mercenaries at its borders and had informed Russia about this. He also mentioned the growing Chinese investments in Algeria, especially in technology and modern industries. Regarding Algeria-Tunisia relations, the President affirmed that Algeria supports Tunisia economically as much as possible, emphasizing that Tunisia had supported Algeria during the Liberation Revolution and therefore deserved all necessary help and support. On the Palestinian cause, the President reaffirmed Algeria's unwavering stance, rejecting any attempt at political opportunism. Algeria will continue to support Palestine until it regains all of its rights. He reiterated his support for the Palestinian people's right to a sovereign and fully recognized state within a two-state solution. When discussing Algeria-Morocco relations, the President reminded that Morocco was the first to harm Algeria's unity in 1963, only 9 months after Algeria's independence, causing the death of 850 martyrs. He also pointed out that Morocco didn't recognize Mauritania until 1972, reflecting its expansionist ambitions. The president affirmed that Algeria has always reacted to Morocco's actions and had banned Moroccan airplanes from flying over its airspace due to joint military exercises with the Zionist army at its borders. However, he insisted that the Moroccan people are brothers who deserve better, but that the expansionist policies of their government create constant tensions. On political and economic reforms in Algeria, the president announced that his second term would be the final phase of the ongoing reforms with a focus on revising laws related to political parties, elections and local governance. He stated that Algeria aspires to become an emerging economy by 2027 with a GDP exceeding $400 billion. Among the major ongoing projects, he mentioned the construction of 3.5 million housing units, strengthening water security and reducing dependency on imports. Finally, the President of the Republic concluded by stating that he doesn't intend to stay in power indefinitely and will respect the Constitution, which limits presidential terms. He emphasized that his goal is to leave Algeria economically and politically strong, capable of making independent decisions.
Army General Said Chingriha, Minister Delegate to the National Defense Minister and Chief of Staff of the PNA, received a phone call from the U.S. Army General Charles Brown, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The call focused on matters of mutual interest. This follows the signing of a military cooperation memorandum between the two countries on January 22, 2025 in Algiers by Army General Said Chingriha and Army General Michael Langley, Commander of Africa. Both sides expressed their commitment to strengthening bilateral military ties and discussed current regional and international issues. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs Ahmed Attaf received Alex Vines, Director of the Africa Programme at Chatham House. During the meeting, the two officials exchanged views on various challenges facing the African continent, in particular the Sahel region. They also discussed potential cooperation between Chatham House and the Institute of Diplomacy and International Relations of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Director of Africa at Chatham House, Alex Vines, delivered a lecture focusing on the challenges of combating terrorism and promoting development in the Sahel and West Africa regions. Vines emphasized that Algeria recognized that security solutions alone are not enough and that crisis management requires a comprehensive approach combining political dialogue, economic development and stability. In line with the decision of the President of the Republic, who appointed Abdel Karim Bouzid as Minister of Finance and Wassim Qwidri as Minister of Pharmaceutical Industry, Bouzid today officially assumed his duties at the Ministry of Finance. The handover ceremony was held in the presence of ministry officials. That the Ministry of Industry, Wassim Qwidri, assumed his duties as Minister of Pharmaceutical Industry amid a ceremony held in the presence of ministry officials. And the energy sector, Minister of State for Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies, Mohamed Arqab, and during the 58th meeting of the OPEC non-OPEC Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee held via video conference, emphasized that recent measures adopted by OPEC Plus countries have ensured stability in the international oil market, benefiting both oil producers and consumers. Arqab stated that the ministers exchanged views on the current oil market situation and the outlook for the upcoming weeks, stressing that increased vigilance and full commitment to production limits are crucial in the current climate. Minister of State for Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies, Mohamed Arqab, always received the Minister of Environment of the Czech Republic, Peter Hladek, along with a delegation of Czech businessmen. During the meeting, both sides discussed ways to enhance investment opportunities and partnerships in the hydrocarbon sector, as well as in the electricity, new and renewable energy sources, in particular solar and photovoltaic energy, and the development of hydrogen and energy efficiency. Voices from civil society and government officials across Africa have grown louder in their calls for an end to France's military presence on the continent, a legacy of colonial exploitation that continued even after many countries gained independence. Najah Tayyar explains.
The geopolitical landscape is shifting, signaling a decisive move toward Africa's full independence. One setback after another has marked France's presence on the continent, and now calls for the withdrawal of its troops are growing louder. In an accelerating movement, Africa is on the verge of closing the chapter of its colonization once and for all.
In the
90s, with the advent of the multi-party politics in Africa, many people have called into question the presence of the colonial power, particularly in the market, the aid, the debt management, the presidential election too, and also the sub-military cooperation.
Les élections présidentielles et aussi la collaboration, si vous préférez, la coopération militaire.
I would like to point out that 100 years after the abolition of slavery on March 23, 1946, it was France that continued with the forced labor, and we have suffered as a result. I've told you about the after effects of France's work. We need to learn from our history. Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal, two strategically important countries for the French influence, have now joined Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso in ending the French military presence on their soil. This presence, which has long benefited a prosperous France while impoverishing Africa, has ultimately brought no satisfactory return to the states involved, especially in the fight against terrorism. It's hard to understand why France is so concerned about terrorism. It's also hard to understand why France has stayed in Mali for almost 10 years without being able to neutralize terrorism in the Sahelian Strip. That's the question on everyone's mind, since France has been accused of not wanting to neutralize terrorists. And after gaining independence, the former colonizer France continued its control over Africa through the CFA franc, a colonial currency established in 1945, backed by France. It kept 14 African countries dependent, controlling the cost of raw materials and benefiting Paris. And the countries that recently broke free from the system faced challenges, but ultimately succeeded in uniting and liberating themselves. They are liberated. It's a victorious step, but as long as there was criticism about the inability to manage the crisis within the community, many of which were planned by Western imperialists, notably the French. For generations, Africa has suffered an irretrievable loss of earnings, and France shamelessly depleted its resources and wealth. However, today's young Africans are increasingly aware of this exploitation and determined to change the rules of the game. With a clear and assertive vision, they seek to break free from the decades of repression by redefining their relationship with the former colonial power.
And Africans living in France, even those with French nationality, are targeted and suffer from discrimination and racism, not only from the French citizens, but also the French institutions. Najah Tayyar once again.
In France, the Africans, including French nationals, face racism daily, from verbal abuse and hostile treatment on the streets to racial profiling by police. This discrimination extends to institutions where Africans struggle with unequal opportunities in jobs, education and healthcare. Will you address the issue of migrant distribution with other European countries such as Malta, which no longer responds to the rescue requests? Despite being French citizens, they are often marginalized, with studies showing lower chances of employment for those with African-sounding names, and even humiliated in the streets for no reason. I asked her to excuse me. She insulted me. She stood still for 2 seconds, then called me monkey. I kept thinking, was she serious? Was I in a dream, or did she really say that? The people next to us saw what happened and were also shocked.
Je commence un peu à me dire je suis dans un rêve, ou est-ce qu'elle a vraiment dit ça en fait. Des gens à côté ont vu cette scène et ils étaient choqués aussi.
What pain could have been caused to a person so that they hate the other that much?
Détester l'autre aussi gratuitement.
On fait ce qu'on veut, on est chez nous, d'accord? Alors tu les gars,
Ils vous insultent.
Oui, bonobo, rentrez chez vous.
Alors, va à la niche.
This racism contradicts France's claimed values of human rights, liberty and equality, as its own citizens face oppression based on their race, exposing the gap between the country's ideals and its reality.
And that was it for today's news. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.